Yes, I remember the battle for the heights. The Xenos filth slashed through our Russ like a saber through rancid fat. When the Rex's reactor went critical, the burn flash took my eyes, and the shame of our defeat was the last thing I ever saw.
In order to combat the myriad threats across the stars, the Tau Empire requires armaments in excess of our modest stature. Ancient evils awaken from slumber deep within the core of unassuming worlds. Carrion empires rend the galaxy as their last act of defiant misery, and failed custodians of a prosperous future clutch greedily to what remains of their sundered domains. Though the many souls of the Fire Caste wield weapons of immense power and take to the field within the sanctuary of armored vehicles, one creation of the Earth Caste's ingenuity is by far the most crucial to spreading the influence of the greater good: the battlesuit. Armored exoskeletons reserved for only the most revered and brilliant fire warriors. Each glorious machine of war is a symbol of the Tau Empire's pedigree, able to withstand the harshest of climates and war-zone conditions. Charging into the thickest of fighting, such battlesuits lay waste to enemy lines while shrugging off all manner of small arms fire, often supported by their infantry peers and fire support from the air caste. Each calibrated and outfitted with weapons required to combat specific threats, the utility of mobile, stealth, and heavy battlesuits integrate support systems to aid in their endeavors. Initially field-tested during the first sphere of expansion of 502 M39, it would take over 7 decades before advancements in anti-gravitic motors refined the T-series of battlesuits. Powered by fossil fuels and much more lumbering than future models, the T-series regardless proved invaluable until its replacement with the V-series of suits. Powered by nuclear fission reactors, which countered their power consumption with increased levels of radiation, early pilot volunteers willingly hastened their demise through radiation poisoning until a solution to the problem was implemented. As pilots honed their tactics, battlesuits began to be implemented within the Hunter cadres, bolstering the survival rates of their infantry peers and compensating for the weaknesses of armored vehicle limitations. The second sphere of expansion heralded further advancements in weapon loadouts, power efficiency, safety, and combat potency. The integration of repulsor jet technology and nanocrystalline alloys hearkening a new generation of highly mobile combat suits. Now designated as X-Series battlesuits, the enduring legacy of the XV-8 crisis remain developed to this day as a testament to their efficacy. Advancements made with continued conflict and observation of alien species, events such as the Kappa Mortis incident, Great War of Confederation, and Damocles Gulf Crusade, allowed for the retrieval and study of alien technologies to broaden the creative ideas of the Earth Caste. The latest in Earth Caste prototype technologies, adopted by the elite pilots of such warsuits, each uses varying combinations of the following inventions. Black sun filters allow for sight within low-light environments and block blinding flashes from photon grenades and other such explosives. Multi-trackers allow for easy coordination of weapons fire, whilst recoil absorbers facilitate easier target acquisition. Descending from the heavens by virtue of their jetpacks, their strong yet lightweight nanocrystalline alloy known as Phio-Tuck allows for even among the largest of battlesuits to take to the skies. Durable enough to protect from projectiles, corrosion, and shrapnel damage, coatings of liquid metal deflect lasfire up to medium-grade armaments, with such resilience comparable to the ceramite used by the Imperial Space Marines. The heavier the armor, the more nanolayers are applied, and no matter the configuration, each suit aids their pilot's understanding and practice of the disciplines and study of the arts of war. In order to designate the many designs and variants of battlesuits, each is assigned a Herex Vray or Mantle of the Hero. For the sake of understanding, I shall use your own Imperial Low Gothic interpretation of each model by use of prefix Gothic symbols and the use of 2 numbers for each design. For many years, every battlesuit was appointed the prefix XV, yet with the rise of deadlier threats, present within the proximity of the borders of the Tau Empire, larger models such as the KV and KX battlesuits have proven necessary to unleash more devastating countermeasures. The first numeral designates the size of each battlesuit, with 1 being the smallest and most mobile, and 10 for the largest and heaviest. The second numeral is assigned to specialized models, while standard duty suits use only their primary numerical, the use of 3 numerals reserved only for the most bespoke pilots. For example, an XV-88 is composed of 8, which is a heavy class of battlesuit, and the second 8 symbolizes its tactical role as a fire support unit. In comparison, an XV-15, due to its lower numerical value, is an ultralight model designed for stealth operations by its appointed 5. 1 is typically not used outside of the prototyping stage of construction, unsuitable for deployment due to its status as a development model, whilst 2 marks a unit that is acceptable for field trial testing, yet is not intended to be used extensively. 3 is assigned to battlesuits not yet sanctioned for mass production, whilst 4 is appointed as the last stage of field testing. Suits outfitted with stealth technologies adopt the numeral of 5, whilst those capable of airspace maneuvers are assigned the numeral 6. 7 is a designation for units capable of infiltration missions. 8 marks a suit as a fire support platform. 9 models are suited for frontline assault missions, and 10 battlesuits are the newest super heavy category. Occasionally, battlesuit naming conventions allow for a dash divider to add 2 further numerals, such as an example of an XV-8-02 crisis suit, which indicates its upgraded iridium plating composition. The right to pilot a standard battlesuit among the highest honors of the Fire caste. Only those proven a veteran of several Terran cycles of service are permitted the right to use a battlesuit following the first trial by fire and promotion to the rank of Chassui. Typically assigned to XV-15 or XV-25 stealth suits upon their ascension, their prior experience as Pathfinders complements their tactics and doctrines until proven worthy of piloting an XV-8 crisis battlesuit. Conducting their second trial by fire to achieve the rank of Chass Frey. Should they succeed, such veterans shall go on to command their crisis team before earning the right to be assigned to the honor guard of their respective Tau commander's bodyguard team. Regarded as the elite of the Fire caste, the usual progression to the rank of a Tau commander or Chassel is rewarded with the use of heavier designs, such as the XV-88 broadside, as they learn to master the invaluable duties of a fire support operative. Only the highest-ranking officers of Chass-O are permitted to take to the fray within the most powerful of battlesuits. Due to their prohibitively expensive prototype designs, outfitted with experimental weapons of immense power. For the remainder of this transmission, I shall outline each and every battlesuit employed by the Tau Empire, for their designs and purpose are numerous, and legacies gloried. The XV-02 battlesuit is a prototype suit created specifically for the Hammerhead gunship pilot, Shasla Tau Shang. Known as Longstrike by his peers due to his deeds sundering many foes from afar, his suit's integration within his vehicle allows him to interface directly with its systems, enhancing his already skillful expertise. Due to its form-fitting design, the rare numeral 0 is used to identify its meager size, and 2 to mark its prototype status. The XV-15 stealth suit is the workhorse of the Fire caste, a lightweight yet versatile suit which bolsters the skills of lone wolf operatives. Enabling sabotage, infiltration, and reconnaissance maneuvers, Though the smallest of all conventional exoskeletons, its application is extremely effective. Cloaked in light-bending disruption camouflage technology, rendering them silent, heat-shrouded, and invisible to the naked eye, their precision strikes can cripple enemy positions before they are even aware they are under attack. Outfitted with jetpacks, advanced sensors, and burst cannons, these suits are able to disintegrate infantry and tear holes into weak points of armored vehicles with deadly effect. Whilst the backbone of stealth operations conducted by the Firecast, variants such as the XV-17, XV-22, and advanced XV-25 suits have now made the Model 15 redundant. The Mark 22, entrusted solely to the highest-ranking members of the Firecast, its advanced technological suite remains in the testing phase. Necessary to counter the Ultramarines' recovery of captured X-15s during the Kappa Mortis incident, a new era of mass-produced XV-25 stealth suits holds the line until the Prototype 22 can be proven. Its modular weapon system, able to be outfitted with twin fusion blasters, plasma rifles, burst cannons, flamers, missile pods, shield generators, and cyclic ion blasters, due to its capability of being deployed from high altitudes, its field testing by Commander Shadowsun, Commander Chassot Case, and Chassot Ordeskar has shown extremely promising results. The mass-produced variant of the XV-25, now the standard issue template of the Stealth Carders, when assembled into Night Hunter stealth groups, such teams proved invaluable when combating the War of Skarkill during the Taros campaign. Armed with burst cannons or fusion blasters when assigned to infiltration carders, such units can destroy strategic targets suddenly before activating marker lights to call in more heavily armed reinforcements. Comprising elite optimized stealth carders, their Mesme Jakada or Wall of Mirrors maneuvers allow for the carder to generate holographic copies of their number to confound their enemies, whilst XV-95 Ghostkill fire support cover their advances. Rapid insertion forces unleash the Mont-Ka killing blow doctrines of war, leading the vanguard of Crisis battlesuit teams, deployed from Manta Super Heavy Voidcraft. Benefiting from nutrient reservoirs, built-in medical suites, and among the most advanced technologies on the cutting edge of Tau innovation, their advanced targeting systems, counterfire defense systems, drone controls, shield generators, position relays, early warning overrides, stimulant injectors, velocity tracks, and vectored retro thrusters epitomize the superior craft of the Earth Cast. The XV-46 Vanguard Void battlesuits are a new design specializing in the exploration and pacification of space hulks following the expedition of the Mortis Fool. Armed with short-range flame projectors, burst cannons, and fusion torches, no barrier nor threat within the confines of such fell conglomerations of starships shall deny the scions of the Tau Va. Difficult to produce due to the constraints needed for powerful suits deployed within such cramped conditions, very few exist due to their bespoke nature and need for advanced defensive countermeasures such as electroshock repulsors, photon charge launchers, and wide-burst gravity pulse generators, activated via subconscious mind impulse triggers. Augmented with ammunition hoppers, recoil absorption technology, and high-yield power relays, no expense is spared to make sure such suits can combat the fell denizens of space hulks with extreme efficacy. Outfitted with shockproof ejection pods should the pilot require escape from catastrophic damage, such pods are programmed to return to Tau boarding craft automatically. Variants such as the XV-46-4 Vanguard battlesuits are reserved only for Tau commanders of the rank of Chass-L, benefiting from advanced prototype armaments such as EMP blasters and microburst fragmentation launchers. The XV-8 Crisis battlesuit is the most iconic mainstay of the Tau Empire's military. Armed with potent arrangements of up to 3 weapons at any one time, such as air-bursting fragmentation projectors, burst cannons, cyclic ion blasters, flamers, fusion blasters, missile pods, and plasma rifles. Each battlesuit equipped with an array of countermeasures artificial intelligence-assisted communications, fail-safes, sensor suites, jamming devices, and shield generators. Many an opponent has underestimated these agile warsuits' firepower capabilities. The privilege to pilot such a suit, earned only after 4 years of service within the front lines of the Firecast, the XV-8 can be deployed in practically any environment, tactical situation, or warzone. Typically operating in teams of 3 known as Taro Cha or 3 Minds as One, their sept configurations such as the Death Rain, Burning Eye, Fire Knife, Sunforge, Brightwind, Darkfall, and Blinding Spear configurations have proven effective in achieving victory over countless battles. Assembled into Fast Strike Battlesuit Forces or Mission Denial Forces, each are willing to achieve victory no matter the cost to themselves or their squadmates. Rapid Insurgent Forces attack suddenly and establish perimeters on tactically valuable ground, whilst Retaliation Cadres break through seemingly invulnerable positions. Crisis Bodyguard teams, comprised typically of 2 elite pilots, guard their commander at all costs, adhering to the teachings of Commander Puretide that a wise leader must learn when and where to use his every asset to its best capability. Its variants the most widespread of all designs, some, such as the XV-8-02, were adapted with iridium alloy to the chassis armor as a response to the death of Commander Brightstar from a sniper's bullet. The XV-81 adopts a smart missile system to its construction for long-range support, whilst the spines of XV-84s house marker lights and target lock sensors to enhance target acquisition against hordes of enemies. The XV-85 Enforcer battlesuit is modified with better joint movement and improved protective qualities, its more powerful reactor proving costly to implement despite enhancing its capabilities. The XV-86 Cold Star battlesuit sports unique weapon systems, jetpack designs, and void environment systems, whilst the XV-89 excels at assaulting heavily fortified positions due to its iridium plating. The Broadside XV-88 is the first design classified as a heavy armor battlesuit, piloted only by among the most senior-ranking members of the Firecast. Powered by advanced particle accelerators, which forfeit maneuverability in exchange for firepower, each is armed with weapons such as twin-linked heavy rail rifles, high-yield missile pods, twin-linked plasma rifles, and Seeker missiles. Capable of shrugging off impacts from autocannon and lascannon fire, the durability of their construction is alike to Space Marine Terminator armor in function, yet due to the increased weight, such chassis cannot be fitted with jetpacks. Proven in battle against the terrifying Tyranids of High Fleet Gorgon during the defense of Kel-Shan, their broadside destructor phalanx teams defend crucial strategic positions from devastating foes. Fire-based support cadres, formed of broadsides and riptide battlesuits, compensate each other's slow rate of fire. Range support cadres work with Pathfinder teams to secure distant objectives, and retaliation cadres breach otherwise impregnable defensive positions. The variant XV-88-2 model, outfitted with tempered armor plating and rearrangement of weapons, allows for more versatile application in battle. The XV-9 Hazard battlesuit is thus far the most technologically sophisticated battlesuit produced by the Earthcast. Its short-range weapons and mobility more difficult to pilot than standard warsuits. Requiring veteran pilots of the rank of Chasse Ray and above to properly handle its controls, the resources required to craft such suits is countered by its effectiveness combating multiple threats at once. Assorted into swift protector wings comprised of 6 XV-9s, such elite bands of fire warriors can prevent disaster by supporting ailing positions or leading vicious counterattacks. Outfitted with vectored retro thrusters to improve their jetpack capabilities, and armed with twin-linked burst cannons, phased ion guns, fusion cascades, and pulse submunition rifles, these highly mobile and heavily armored battlesuits can sunder even the deadliest of enemies. XV-95 Ghostkeel battlesuits are the most advanced stealth suits of the Tau Empire. Their objective to infiltrate behind enemy lines before unleashing havoc. A single Ghostkeel is often enough to completely cripple enemy outposts from within. Known as the Ghosts of Nudras, the deeds of these spectres of death are used as propaganda to inspire the Tau Empire. Supported by integrated artificial intelligences, their pilot's disposition over time becomes very introverted, forming a bond with their AI as trusted comrades in arms. Assigned to heavy retribution carders in collaboration with KV-128 Storm Surge ballistic suits, the colossal weapons of war draw enemy fire before the Ghostkeels strike from their flanks. Armed with cyclic iron rakers or fusion colliders, vehicles and organics alike are vaporized, with backup twin-linked burst cannons, flamers, and fusion blasters disposing of secondary foes. XV-104 Riptide battlesuits are an experimental heavy warsuit that is second only to the Ravana in scale. Extraordinarily powerful and twice the size of a Crisis battlesuit, the Riptide's dark matter nova reactor supports its fast rate of fire and powerful weaponry. Fitted with shield generators, heavy burst cannons, ion accelerators, twin-linked smart missile systems, twin-linked fusion blasters, and twin-linked plasma rifles, surprisingly for such a large exoskeleton, is capable of flight using its jetpack. Reserved for only the best of all Firecast officers, its surprising mobility allows it to be effective in almost any conceivable engagement. Held in reserve to strike at the opportune moment, such battlesuits can bear the brunt of the most powerful weapons fire as they confront enemy commanders and high-value targets. Assigned to Riptide wings, first field-tested by Commander Shadowsun, these comrades in arms combine their artificial intelligences, computational power, and personal battlefield expertise to combat their enemies. Variant models, such as the more heavily armored XV-107 Ravana, utilizes 2 experimental pulse submunitions cannons, whilst the XV-109 Yevara battlesuit excels at frontline assaults when firing its triple-barreled, phased plasma flamers and ionic discharge cannons. The KV-128 Storm Surge, developed by the weapons scientist Theo Bork-An, issued on, is among the mightiest of all battlesuits, so large that it requires the aid of Manta gunships to deploy into the field. Mobile artillery platforms designed to combat the toughest of armored opponents, such as Imperial Titans, Orc Gargants, and Tyranid Hierophants. Despite their hulking size, the prestige to pilot such warsuits is not commensurate with previous models. Piloted by graduates of the Giant Maker Academy, their mighty pulse driver cannons, pulse blast cannons, twin-linked smart missile systems, flamers, burst cannons, air-bursting fragmentation projectors, and cluster rocket systems lay waste to their enemies. Finally, the KX-139 Ta'unar Supremacy Armor is the pinnacle of the Earthcast military engineering. By far the largest of all battlesuits specifically designed to combat Tyranid Hive Fleets and Imperial Night Houses, the efforts of engineer Theo Kerlashan Sho'aun now puts the Tau Empire on an equal footing against such colossal foes. Armed with triple-barreled pulse ordnance multi-drives, Nexus missile systems, heavy rail cannons, fragmentation cluster shell launchers, triaxis ion cannons, and fusion eradicators, no enemy is too powerful to deny the overwhelming firepower of such colossi.